Hey crew, how goes it? Had this truck on the bench last night, did a bunch of different stuff to it. Gonna show it to you. Then I'm gonna take it for a quick crawl and see how it does. First and foremost, these plastic axial wheels are starting to strip on the 17mm hex behind them. So what I did was full aluminum hubs with carbon steel 12.9 M3 screws, fasteners. Turned out really good. And I think that's going to prevent any slippage in the wheel and tire. And you may have noticed, boom, we are back to brushless. This is going to be the first time I've ever run this rig at 34 pounds with the full weight and the full big tires and 4 links on brushless setup. The rear brushed 570 motor was wearing out and didn't have all the pushing power that I had originally when I put it in. So I had to go back to the big brushless motors. Those are Turnigy Aerostar 4250 Outrunners, up to 5S, up to 1700 watts, 42 millimeters wide, 50 millimeters long. And something unique about this setup you're going to see is only one ESC. That's the Rhino 80 amp AM32 sine wave ESC. I don't know if you can see it in there, but yep, both sets of motor wires coming off of that ESC, and that ESC is pushing both motors. It can be done. These are only 375 kV motors, and I'm only running up to maybe 3S on 60% throttle, so low RPMs. And as long as everything stays pretty much in sync, it works really well. What you're going to find interesting about this is the truck's not turned on, and when I turn the rear tires, the front tires turn, even though they're not connected with drive shafts. It's all there. I'm turning this tire here. You see that motor turning. It's all magnetic connection between the two motors. See that? I'm turning this tire here. And that's interesting because since they're on the same ESC, they connect together like that. And they run in sync really, really good. Actually perfectly, with tons of low-speed torque. But the problem is, of course, there's always a catch. You can't go fast. You might be getting like half a mile an hour, 1 mile an hour, top speed, probably 1 mile an hour. So that is kind of a bummer. But when I had the 2 ESCs and the 2 brush motors, they didn't always seem to be talking to each other really well. And it didn't crawl as good. And it would get a little flubbed up. I also tried one brushless on the rear and one brushed on the front. That absolutely did not work at all, for whatever reason. Obviously on separate ESCs, one brushed, one brushless. Alright, I'm going to show you top speed. This is again at about 60% throttle on 3S. Oh, sorry, that's a little too much on top speed. Let's see what happens. About as fast as it can go. But it's got huge torque at this speed. Crazy huge torque. Here's my walking speed. and you're able to go extremely slow. With ease, in a way that you couldn't with the brushed motors, because the rear brush motor would get all not want to turn. Didn't have the power to turn. All that weight would shift to the rear, and then the front brush motor would be spinning, kicking rocks all over, and it would go, but you just had to kind of punch it, and you didn't have all the control that you have with this. Look at the insane sine wave control I've got here with grip. This is a 34-pound truck just creeping. And I can't get the high speed anymore, which is a bummer, but it is a full drag brake. A really good drag brake. Actually, let me show you. Sorry. I've got throttle set at 75, so if I punch it, it will seize up that motor. It's just too much RPM. I've got throttle on 3 different dual rates, so a 75, a 60, and a 50. The 75, you can punch that throttle for a split second. Like if you're crawling and you need power, no problem. You can even punch 100% throttle for a split second if you need big power, but you just can't stay in it. So that's why I kept the 75 on a dual rate, so that if I need the big crawling power, I can click a switch on the transmitter and have it. I've never been able to move this truck so slow and controlled before. And this is just set on low sine wave power, below 50%. And it kind of starts to squeal a little bit and let you know if it's getting all seized up, and maybe you want to readjust, reapproach, reline your tires up with a rock set. Pause. This little incline here usually gives this truck a lot of trouble. Kicks rocks down the hill constantly, and then it can't get grip to go up. Let me zoom out a tad for you. So as I was saying, yeah, there's your drag brake. You see how slow it's going back down? Watch. There's drag brake. Not touching the transmitter. It is actually rolling. I don't know if you could see that on film. It's a really strong drag brake. So, and that drag brake's set on 6 out of 10. Both motors. So, just on the one ESC, of course. angle in here, make it a little tougher. Go as slow as possible till it gets to stall. And then we'll give it power, but it's not even going to stall. Look at that. It's my bad on the trigger finger. Wow, super impressive. It's always had a little bit of trouble there with the brushed motors. And it just did it like it was nothing. Oh, look at that. High banked right on the tip of that rock. Don't want to break my electrical conduit here for my lights. Oh well, all for the tube. I guess I'll know tonight. So good, you guys. It's so good. Let's try to get down to minimum power. Well, I'll tell you how I can do it. I'll just use the trim. Oh, I'm going backwards. There it went. We're moving. $375 kV on 3S. That's what it'll get you. Not touching it. It's got torque. Cool, huh? There she is in all her glory. Locked out the rear, dual front steering. Oh, I forgot to do diesel sounds for you guys. I'll debut that right now. I had to make a new extension piece, my steel one, strip the threads. Last night I made one in like 10 minutes using 6063 aluminum tube. I was out of steel tube. I think it's actually going to hold up just fine. So maybe I'll do them all in aluminum. I was able to make it a little longer, which allowed me to thread that nut on all the way a little better. Over here, I don't have nearly as much length on the steel extensions, but it works because now that nut is just holding the wheel on. It's not actually keeping everything spinning, which these were so stripped, the plastic axles were so stripped before that all that was keeping the wheel in contact with the axle was tightness from the 17 millimeter X nut. Oh yeah, here we go. How about some diesel engine sounds? I have it on switch. There it is. Diesel's back, baby. And since it's so quiet now, you really hear it. Tell you what, let's just set the trim at minimum go and see what happens. Oh, wrong direction. Sorry. There it is. Single go. That's just trimmed. I'm not even touching the throttle. Let's see if it can keep going. It's gonna get caught on this rock, I think. I might have to blip it. I didn't blip it. It's still just going. It is a little bit of a downhill to its favor. World's slowest SCX6 beast. World's slowest clod buster axle conversion. World's torquiest. Still just on trim. If this doesn't put you to sleep at night, I don't know what will. Lights too, camera action. Still just on trim. Crazy good. Some of you might say, Ron, you're killing these things with sine wave. You're going to be roasting the motors, temperature-wise. Right? Let me get turned around and try to go up the hill just on trim. I mean, honestly, for rock crawling, that right there as a top speed is more than enough. Alright, up the hill just on trim. No trigger. I blipped it there just because I want to hear some diesel go. Once again, that's a single click of, well, it's however many clicks it takes until it will start moving under its own power. And not one more. So about as low as you can set the throttle to go. You gotta love sine wave. AM32. Quadcopter technology. I fly quads, so you know. Those are fun too. But this is, I don't know, more relaxing for me somehow. I like wrenching. My dad was a mechanic. 35 years. Owned the Shell station. Poor guy. Hi, lady. Hi, sweetheart. Coming through if you don't mind. We'll go slow. Don't you worry. Still on trim. Well, this is a fabulous cruise control. If you want to go slow, 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 slow. Okay, I just hit the reverse while on forward trim. So so we can get out of that. My rear tire was stuck. Seems to be working. Still haven't touched it. Other than, you know, when you saw. Amazing torque to be able to pull through these rocks. What are we going to do with that one now? Forget it. We're going to be hung on that. This is it. We're not going to make it because of that rock. Oh. Readjust. Reapproach. There it is. This is Lula. She's 80% Chihuahua, a little bit of Pomeranian, Pekingese, American Eskimo dog, and a Patterdale Terrier. Say hello, my beautiful little lady. Hi. She says, pet me, Daddy, pet me. Your truck's crawling away. Yeah, she loves to get her little chicken wing pet back here. I don't know. This is her thing. She does that. Scratch my belly. Scratch my belly, Daddy. Yeah. She's a beauty. She's my best friend. Yeah. And her mommy, too, of course. Alright, hope you enjoyed. That's the end of our program today. Brushless is it, baby. I had to take that motor out of the TRX4XXL, but it has a broken drive shaft right now that got hung up on a big rock. Twisted it right off. So I'm going to put in the same one of these motors, only I think it's a 600 kV version. A little less expensive. I think that'll still work. I may have to pinion it down in the TRX4XXL or go up in LiPo size, but we'll see. Alright, folks. Peace, love, and happiness. Take care.